Welcome back to the Titanium Hangout. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about how we collectors can change the companies that are out there. The toy companies will be changing, and we will be a part of that. Maybe a small part of that, but I'm going to tell you kind of the do's and the don'ts of what we should be doing, what we should not be doing, what we have been doing. It's kind of a waste of time for changing large corporations like Hasbro and Mattel. We're going to talk about a lot of problems such as quality control, the packaging with plastic free, the price, and of course this Pinkerton situation, which is obvious overreach, way overreach on their behalf, which is kind of mind-boggling. But I'm going to really talk about what we can do to make an impact with these companies. A lot of people are just calling to boycott Hasbro until they shut down, which, by the way, that wouldn't really happen. We'll talk about this and more coming up. So companies such as Hasbro and Mattel are in business to make a profit. They are in business to satisfy the demand of the customer. So if you satisfy the demand, you add value, a value creation, then people spend their money on the value created item, and it is a symbiotic relationship. You continue business because you continue doing this. What happens though, Hasbro and Mattel are both coming off of the largest years they've ever had, the most profitable years, and well, coming out of 2022, it started to sink, and 2023 is just a disaster for them, and they're trying to salvage what they can. But when it comes to these companies, they're not here because you're a friend, they're here to make a profit. Some of the things we see Hasbro do is cut costs. They cut costs with the packaging, with garbage packaging that nobody wanted, and of course we were vocal about that. So what did we do? I made a video ranting about this packaging. That didn't change it. No, it didn't. They continued to progress forward. A nice progressive forward movement in garbage packaging. And let me just tell you, the art on this is just terrible. I am done biting my tongue because I might offend somebody. I don't really care. I hate this packaging with all of my being. This is garbage. This isn't even G.I. Joe. I mean, I don't know what it would be. I don't know what you'd call this. This is not G.I. Joe in the slightest. It's garbage packaging, and they are caving, but I'm going to tell you why. They're caving because of the fact that we do have a massive level of inflation, and people cannot afford to spend like they did in 2021 and 2020, and for that, we also see rising costs for companies, everybody. Now, I'm not going to talk about the failed policies that got us into this situation, the government policies that are there. We all know that. But I do want to say that unless the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to 20%, which would be devastating, they're not going to end inflation. It's going to continue. No, what fixes this packaging is the fact that their sales are dramatically down. And I'm sure they have the data saying that sales that are in this garbage packaging, everything that is riddled with garbage packaging is down more than the stuff left in decent packaging or window packaging, or you could actually still see the figures. So there is data for all of that, data points for all of that kind of stuff. Now I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons here because it's a fine example of everything Hasbro's done wrong. This is a great license, it's a great franchise, this is something that everybody's wanted, and it's something that they could have satisfied the demand of the market. Now, I'm happy with my figures now after the crazy roller coaster ride of a debacle that I went on to get my figures. But with that, there's some good stuff to this. The fact that these are hanging on pegs, warming pegs, and going into summer are going to be on fire on pegs. They are going on clearance. Like, I know this set here has gone to $25 a couple of times on Target.com. I picked me up two more for $25 each. I mean, why not? I've seen people get them as cheap as 12, and I've seen people get the other figures for 7. I'm not that lucky. In fact, I don't see these in my stores at all, but, that's just me. Other parts of the country, they're riddled with them. In the Targets, the Walmarts carrying the individual figures are overflowing with them, but that's a whole different story. But this is killing their bottom line, I gotta say, with this toy line here. As many problems are, broken wrists and broken ankles and having to heat up the joints and getting the wrong figure in the box like I did, I do want to say that I do think it is a nice looking toy line. I look forward to the rest of it, finishing it, and I do like it on display on my shelf. I do like having these. I'm very happy that they exist. And a lot of people say, well, we wish any other company would have made it except for Hasbro. But I'm starting to hear that Hasbro didn't even have a license for it. In fact, they only were able to make it because of a cameo in the movie. No, I still haven't seen the movie. I don't know anything about that or if that's just a rumor. But if That's true, though. Super 7's been trying to score this license for a long time, and if they can't score it for the reaction line, I don't think anybody can score it legally. So it'd have to get made, third party-ish. But this is a nice looking set, and dealing with all the issues, getting them now on clearance is much better than getting them in the future for $100. Or I guess you could go the route that all these influencers are saying, just do without collecting forever. All right, so let's talk about the price. Now, top line sales are suffering because of price. Now, a lot of companies go, we'll just raise our price and our sales will go up. But if you raise your price 25% and you see a 50% sales drop, you are hurting yourself and shooting yourself in the foot. And on top of that, most of your product's going to go to clearance or ollies. And a lot of this stuff, specifically these figures, are going to end up at ollies. And that's sad because I've already seen the Emperor at ollies, and I've seen Chewbacca at ollies. I mean, they were just there for $10. And here we put them out on this. That leads into the next issue, the selection. They make really bad decisions on which figures to make and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm right there. Like Star Wars itself. Star Wars is dying on the vine because all they want to do is pump out Mandalorians. And I know the Clone Troopers are popular, but we haven't finished the initial run of original trilogy, and they're just losing those collectors. Instead of feeding us figures like this is great, but this is like a year late, like we should have gotten this a while ago. Instead of continuing this, it feels like we get a little bit and then nothing for a long time, and they haven't fed the appetite of the original collectors in a long time. These are just reissues. These are reissues, recards. That is a problem. And I got to tell you that this plastic free has destroyed their sales. Like, it's already a bad economy. People don't have that much money. And then the players that buy 3 of each are barely buying 1, and now none. So with the packaging, even though people like myself made videos yelling from the top of a mountain that this is going to destroy sales, Hasbro doesn't listen. These companies don't listen to that kind of stuff. Making these rant videos, I made some, thinking it might make an impact. That's not at all what made an impact. The only thing that makes an impact is speaking with your wallet, not buying the stuff. The only thing that really speaking with your wallet and not buying sends the message to them that they're going in the wrong direction, and they will listen to that. You can make a video all day long just ranting and raving and how bad Hasbro is, how bad Mattel is, how many of these horrible mistakes that they've made, and all the things they're doing that are so bad. But speaking with your wallet and sells stuff not selling, well, let's talk about these guys. So I've seen some videos and watched some people talk and hear how bad these are. They're all so horrible. It's just such terrible quality. And Stan Solos, which I own Stan Solos and use them in my video, Stan Solo creations, they're much better. They are better figures. The Marion I have of his is a better figure, a better recreation of the original Kenner than what Hasbro did. But I'd venture to say 80 to 90% of people just keep them on the card. But even not on the card, even out on the shelf, if you don't have the vintage nearby, you just kind of have them on a shelf, they look fine. They do. But I want to say the vintage is way better. And there's a lot of problems. You got to watch my video for all of that. But I still am glad you're able to get this for $12 figure. I mean, most people want to keep them on the card anyway. And if you want $13,000 for a complete set of these in really crappy condition, up to $25,000 or $30,000 for mint condition and AFA graded. So, I mean, pick your pony. Get these for $100. The other thing about the Indiana Jones stuff is I can't find it anywhere. Like, I bought every one that I found. I could barely get 2 sets together. It's almost impossible. Yes, they're on crappy cards. Some of mine are dinged up. Those are the openers. It's really hard. And I've heard this from multiple other people that they couldn't find them in stores. It was really hard. Ordering them online, some places haven't adjusted their price down to $12 yet. So customers have spoken with their wallets when it comes to figures such as Indiana Jones. They're buying them up left and right. They're selling really well. I mean, they can't keep them on the shelves in Targets right now. I mean, they haven't shown up at Walmart yet, so maybe that's a difference. And they haven't sold out at Entertainment Earth and BBTS, I don't think. But I have to say that those are in high demand. This guy here is the sole clearance item of his wave. Like, by far the worst figure of his wave because he looks terrible. I mean, they did the fine job on the 25th anniversary one, right? But they couldn't carry that into classified, and it looks terrible. And for that, you're seeing Super 7 just destroy. Super 7 is destroying that. So I'll speak with my wallets. If I would have gotten a G.I. Joe classified from Hasbro that looked as good as the Super 7, I would have bought multiples of them instead of just the one I did. And I'm glad he's in his clear packaging, though. But the one I did, I was able to see how bad he looked. I didn't want another one of these to open and display. And in fact, I'm kind of leaving all my G.I. Joe Classifieds in the box, as I know Super 7's making them, and those are the ones that are going on my shelf. Now, I know that's a lot of people are going to be mad about that, but, you know, it is what it is. But look how good the Super 7 one is right out the gate versus what we got from Hasbro. And so I kind of think Hasbro sales are going to suffer because of that. But for all those hardcore classified people, I want to say I admit that Cobra Commander, like, you never see him in this stance, ever. Like, he needs much more articulation to achieve his proper pose, because you never see him looking like this in the cartoon, right? This is the Cobra Commander pose, and we do need a G.I. Joe Classified one so that we can do the typical Cobra Commander pose. I mean, this is how we usually see him in the show, right? Just kidding. But I do want to point out this is a Hasbro jerk move right here. And so, like, let's boycott Hasbro over this. Yeah, let's all boycott Hasbro over this one. But to release this Storm Shadow, which was good, and then now they give us a great one coming in the retro. And so, okay, so we have the good one, and then the great one's coming. The problem with this, and the real problem is, that we can easily get our hands on the first one, which is good. So you should just be happy with that, right? But who wants a great one that looked like the one that's on the right here? You might not be able to get it. It's sold out online, sold out at Hasbro Pulse, all that kind of stuff. And it's probably not going to show up at your store unless you're the one of the lucky stores that's clearancing out all of the Lady J's and the Baronesses and all those that are clogging up pegs right now. Because these are all reissue figures that people already have, and slightly better, slightly improved in some ways. But this Storm Shadow is highly sought after. So if one case shows up, and you're not there when they're unpacking it, you're probably not going to get one. Let's talk about Master of the Universe real quick. Mattel is not innocent in all of this either, but, you know, I'm not calling for the end of Mattel. I'm not, definitely not. End! Mattel should go away! No, I'm not on the sidelines hollering that, but I do want to say a few things. First of all, meeting the demand of consumers. This is an $80 playset when people were saying it was going to be like $150. It was going to be crowdfunded. Heck, it might be $400 crowdfund. No, it's not. It is $80, and you can pre-order. I got mine pre-ordered at Amazon, and I'll probably cancel that one when I pre-ordered at BBTS because I kind of would prefer BBTS. Amazon's canceled my stuff in the past, but they're around to make a profit also, and they have to meet the demand. But will Motu go into 2024? I think that once the Eternia releases, and I've said this a couple times, once Eternia releases, then we're going to see more or less the dissipation of the toy line. And look at all this is coming that's supposed to come by the end of this year. So this calendar is showing everything that comes by the end of the year, and it, to me, it still feels like a mad dash last gasp. And this is stuff that's already been in the works. Now there's other things they say are going to be announced and stuff that's coming, and I say bring it on. But the one thing I absolutely hate about Mattel when it comes to Masters of the Universe, well, there's a whole bunch of them, and that's Mattel Creations. I think Mattel Creations and the way they do it with creating a limited supply of product is very frustrating and very annoying. If I should have 4 of these, because I ordered 4 of them, but before I was done checking out, they were sold out. I was really frustrated, and I was originally going to order 3, and then my son said he wanted one, so I upped it to 4, and then we did the finished checking out, and it didn't work for me. So this is an expensive figure right now, and I'll just do without for the rest of my life, because that's just the way it is. I refuse to way overpay for this guy, because I kind of want him now, more than I did even when I was placing the order for him. But moving everything, or a lot of things, to Hasbro Pulse, or the Mattel Creations is a sign of a line ending, or something going on, something big going on with these companies struggling. But here's what I don't understand. Why make 10,000, put it up, or I don't know how it is, was it 3,000? 10,000, put them on your site, instead of releasing them to retail at 100,000. Now, is that because of this? So this has been the same footprint at almost all the Walmarts that I see, with the Leech and the Snoutspout, and then the Buzz-Off and the Stratos. So the Buzz-Off and the Stratos have been around for a year and a half, just clogging up pegs. And I remember at the end of 2021, people wondering, oh man, are we ever even going to get this Wave 7? And we didn't realize that Wave 7 was going to be a plague. And it's still here, plaguing us. That Buzz-Off is plaguing us. But I have to say, Masters of the Universe Masterverse stuff, it's almost non-existent in retail around these parts. So what are we doing? Well, we're doing something that Nerdzoic calls playing clearance chicken. I think that almost everybody has been burned by the Masters of the Universe figures in the past and are playing clearance chicken. And that is basically waiting on something that you're on the fence on and not buying it right away because you've been burned by paying $25 for something and it being on clearance for $9 down the road, like 2 months later. And I've got to say, Origins figure started out at $15 as a good value. At $17 plus 6 shipping, almost $30 for an Origins figure on Mattel Creations. That's no longer a value at all. And $20 almost consistently, 19 or $20 on BBTS, it feels like less of a value. I gotta say, yes, you speak with your wallet, play the clearance chicken, and maybe it pays off, or maybe you get burned like King Randor. So in regards to the situation where a YouTuber had his house raided, allegedly, to get back some Magic cards. Now, I don't really follow the Magic card scene, but I do know it's in such uproar. The people are so upset about all of this stuff that's going on with, I know the Dungeons and Dragons community is upset about what's going on with that, and then now with this situation here, that truthfully, can you make an impact with the company to change tactics, to stop doing this stuff, for Mattel to stop trying to take down 2 Jurassic Park YouTubers? I mean, that was resolved, but it should never have happened in the first place. So the same thing with this situation, and there's more people that have been affected that didn't speak out. This is bad. This is really bad. You know, what do we do as a community? Maybe we call in the companies and we let them know that we are not pleased with this. If they get 1 million phone calls about this situation, that would be a big deal. But again, it goes back to, if you're a Magic card collector and you're disgusted by this behavior, stop buying Magic cards. Quit collecting Magic cards. Well, you're in a precarious situation, aren't you? So, with that, this is just way over the top overreach. Should have never happened. They should issue an apology, but it probably won't happen, and they'll just go on and brush it under the rug like nothing ever happened. This is horrible. It's horrible, and it makes a lot of people question whether or not they have, well, A, you really shouldn't have any loyalty to a company, but B, are they going to continue collecting this Magic? Yeah, they probably will. Now, there's other companies out there like McFarlane. I think they're kind of in the middle right here. I think McFarlane offers a decent price, but people aren't happy with some of the product and all of that kind of stuff because, well, it's a low price, so it's kind of a cheap product. I mean, it's kind of obvious there. But I like some of what they do, not all of what they do. And these Superpowers figures are starting to clog up shelves instead of selling really well. I thought they'd be really highly popular, and people want them in the package, but they don't scale with your original ones. Still, with that, they're smaller company than Hasbro and Mattel, and they can adjust course quicker, but it's odd that they can deliver such a low price point and so consistent on their distribution versus other companies. That's pretty interesting, and I wonder what the magic is with McFarlane. So, what have we seen? Myself and other YouTubers make some rant videos complaining about Hasbro. Hasn't done any good. We've seen that actually speaking with your wallet, not buying the crap packaging stuff or the reissued stuff that we don't really want or need, especially these peg warmers that are going to peg warm really hard. So with that, the only thing you really can do is speak with your wallet, not buy the stuff that you don't want, but support the stuff that you do, and of course play that round of chicken with the clearance stuff. But I want to say what would happen to Hasbro if they went away. If we boycott them and they're gone tomorrow, well, those licenses would be offered up to people who actually cared about the license, people who cared about the franchise, people who would make great figures, or at least try to attempt to, with the passion behind it, versus someone who's holding on to these for a long time. Now, I gotta admit, though, you could say the Visionaries. This is the Spectral Knights, the good guys, and Mask. Killer Mask is something that is needed. It is so unrepresented, and then there's probably 100 other ones that we could talk about, but these are the ones that you hear come up more and more very often, and yet they're just being sat on and nothing done with them. So if Hasbro or Mattel went away, those licenses that they hold would be offered up in one way, shape, or form to other creators, other companies, usually smaller companies that were willing to take more risk. But it will never happen because Hasbro has a stronghold on everything. They have a multitude of revenue sources from different areas so that they can maintain viability, and they are really good at cutting costs. Even if we don't see those cost cuts, the employees that are getting laid off certainly do. So I'm going to reiterate, I do what I've always done. If I like the product, I pre-order one. If I don't care for the product and I could live without it, I just wait for it to hit clearance. If it missed clearance, then whoop-de-doo, no big deal, no sweat. If it comes and goes, never hits a clearance, and I do without for the rest of my life, it's not the end of the world. Something like these guys, I really want them, so I'm pre-ordering them. Something like these guys, if they hit clearance, great. If they don't, I can live without them. For the rest of my life, it's not a big deal. Of course, I did get a Wicket. I had to get a Wicket. But talking about all this, what do you think about this whole situation? Do you think we could change the community for the better? Could we change the companies, the corporations for the better? Well, obviously we can. And do you think that we could boycott them and shut them down? Well, I'm curious about that too. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Teddy Hanger out.